This is Andy Henriquez. And of course, I want to welcome you to the Thursday night show for your life motivational live stream. Hey, listen, this is where you come each and every week, every single Thursday, to get a little message that's going to be able to lift you up, inspire you, help you to take your life to another level. So listen, if you have had something that you've been sitting on the fence, something that you've been meaning to get started, and maybe perhaps you've been overthinking it, you've been finding excuses, or you've been trying to make sure that everything's perfect before you get started, let me tell you, I got a message for you tonight. Tonight's message is called Just Start. And so I'm hoping that whatever it is that you've been sitting on the fence about, whatever it is that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, that you just haven't quite gotten started yet, hopefully after hearing this message tonight, you are going to make the decision to get started. You're going to get off the fence and start making some great things happen. And so, of course, as you're tuning in, do me a quick favor. As you're jumping in, I want to make sure that you can hear me. So as you're jumping in right now, do me a quick favor. Make sure you put in your city and your state so I can give you a little quick shout out before we go ahead and officially start tonight's message on the Show Up for Your Life Thursday night motivational live stream. This is where you come each and every week in order to get that midweek pick me up. And of course, I want to thank all of you who are tuning in and are joining me tonight on the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream. So tonight's message is really about getting started. Listen, I know that this is the time of the year that people are starting to slow down. They start pumping the brakes. This is the time of the year where literally people start winding down. But what I'm hoping that you're going to do as a result of listening to this message is literally make the decision to start something that is going to put you in position to do something phenomenal next year. And so if there's something that you've been putting off, or you've been starting to tell yourself, you know what, I'll just do that thing next year. No. We're going to finish the year strong, and we're going to make sure that we just get started. And so, of course, I want to welcome you. Let me give a quick shout out to my girl, Betty Speaks. Hey, Betty, how you doing? So good to see you, Betty. I appreciate you joining in. Always good to see the one and only Betty Speaks. Hey, as you're tuning in right now, do me a quick favor. Put in your city and your state so I could go ahead and give you a shout out before we get started on tonight's Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream. And let me remind you, tonight's message is specifically for that person who's been sitting on the fence. There's something that you've been wanting to do, that you've been hesitating, that you haven't quite moved forward on. And so hopefully you're going to hear something tonight. You're going to hear something tonight that's going to put you in a position to start, literally, you hear me, to just get started. And so listen, I've been there before. And maybe you can relate where there's something that you want to do, something that you want to get started. And literally you start talking yourself into it, and then you start talking yourself out of it. And then you start coming up with really fancy, elaborate excuses as to why you shouldn't get started just this moment. And so I tell you one thing, especially around this time of the year, right now, around this time of the year, this is the time where people start downshifting. They literally start pumping the brakes, and they start slowing down on the things that they want to make happen. And they just figure they're just going to coast through the rest of the year, and then they'll go ahead and get started next year. But listen, I'm hoping that there's something that you've been wanting to get started on, that you've been putting on the back burner. I'm hoping as a result of hearing this message that you are going to get started, that you are just going to start. And so I thank you for tuning in. Let me give a quick shout out to a couple people. I want to give a shout out to Lewis. I want to give a shout out to Sally. Give a shout out to Betty. As you're tuning in, as you're jumping in, do me a quick favor. Make sure you put in your city and your state. I want to give a shout out to your city and your state also before we get started on tonight's message. And listen, if you know that there's somebody that you know that needs to hear a message, somebody that you know is starting to literally go into like a comatose state, somebody who's starting to downshift, somebody who's starting to make a lot of excuses, somebody who is literally starting to take it really, really easy around this time of the year, and you know that they need to hear something that's going to make them wake up, something that's going to help them to get started, go ahead and share this message right now. Shoot them a text message, shoot them a private message on social media, and let them know that they need to jump on and listen to this message, because I'm going to share something with you tonight that is specifically for those of you who have something that you have been sitting on, something that you've been wanting to get started, and maybe perhaps you've been putting it on the back burner, or you've been saying to yourself, you know what, I'm going to do this thing, I'm just not ready to do it just now. Right? My finances aren't in order. I don't know everything that I need to know. I'm waiting on some people who are supposed to help me out. You know what? I'll just get started on that next year. You know, I'm just going to put that on the side, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started next year. No. Tonight's message is called Just Start. And so I want you to literally purge all of those excuses, all of those things that have been going on through your mind, all the things that you've been telling yourself as to why you haven't got started. We're going to purge those things, and we're going to literally cast them aside so that we can be set free and start making some things happen. And so, of course, we got South Carolina in the house. We got Georgia in the house. We got California in the house. We got Florida in the house. And so, of course, I want to give a shout out to some of those people. So once again, do me a quick favor. If you don't have a pen, if you don't have a piece of paper, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, because I'm going to share something with you that I believe is going to help you to get started. Now, as I get ready to get into this message, I want you to think specifically about something that you've been meaning to start. I mean, something that you've been wanting to do. You've been talking about it. You've been thinking about it. You've been literally calculating what the moves would be, but you just haven't gotten started yet. I don't know what that thing is for you. Maybe some of you, as you're listening to me right now, you've been thinking about writing a book, or maybe perhaps you've been thinking about starting the business. You've been thinking about getting on an online dating scene, right? You've been thinking about going to the gym. You've been thinking about inventing something. You've been thinking about making a career change. You've been thinking about going and getting another degree. I don't know what that thing is that you've been thinking about, or something that you've been wanting to do. But here's what I know. Here's what I know. That right now, around this time of the year, it's really, really easy to start downshifting. It's really, really easy to start saying, you know what, I'll just do that next year. It's really, really easy for you to literally start convincing yourself and talking yourself into why you shouldn't get started right now. And so what I want to make you understand is that when it comes to your goals and your dreams, when it comes to this thing that you've been sitting on, you need to get started right now. You need to just literally start. Let me tell you something right now. The thing that really motivated and inspired me to deliver this message, I was literally on Facebook IM with one of my family members, and I was just touching base with her. And every once in a while, we just sort of catch in. I live in South Florida. She's over in California. And so what happened is, about 2 years ago, we had a discussion about her potentially starting a podcast or starting her own YouTube channel. Now, let me help you understand. My cousin is a tremendous talent. I literally watched her with my own 2 eyes literally have a dream that was inside of her. And I watched her move from South Florida out to California. And literally, I saw her over the series of a couple of decades literally help her dream to come a realization. And so today she's doing some amazing things out in California. And so here's the thing. She wants to start this podcast, and she's thinking about not just starting a podcast, but also go ahead and start her own YouTube channel. Now, we had this conversation 2 years ago, and during the course of 2 years, she's been consistently thinking about it. She's been consistently doing research. She's even met some people who have podcasts, some people who already have their YouTube channels, and yet and still, she hasn't pulled the trigger. Now, let me tell you something. Before you even begin to judge my cousin, let me tell you something. We have all been there before. I know I certainly have. I can tell you right now, I remember when I was telling myself, Andy, you need to write the book. I was having the conversation about writing the book for years before I finally sat down and wrote the book. And then after I actually wrote the book, I sat on it for another year. And so I can remember also when I was working in corporate America as a CPA, and I wanted to get out there and pursue my goals and dreams of becoming an entrepreneur. I can recall having that conversation going on in my mind and literally talking myself into it and then talking myself right back out of it. So wait a second here. Before we judge my cousin, let me help you to understand this is just part of human nature. This is something that so many of us do. Sometimes we want to get started on the book. We want to get started on the business. We want to get started on the podcast. We want to get started on the career shift. We want to get started on another degree. And here's what we do. We think about it. We have great conversation about it, but then we just never get started. And so you say, wait a second, Andy, why is it so hard? Well, here's what I want you to understand. I need you to get this. Listen, the 2 most difficult things that you will ever do in your life is, number 1, start something, and then number 2, to actually finish it. Let me help you to understand something. That there are so many entrepreneurs who are out there that you would never hear of because they would never start their entrepreneur business. There are so many best-selling authors, impactful authors that you would never ever hear of because they just can't start writing that very first book. There are some amazing speakers, some amazing athletes, some amazing, amazing inventors that you would never ever hear of because of the fact that they just don't get started. And so you say to yourself, well, what is it? What is it? What is it that keeps us in that analysis paralysis? What is it that keeps us from moving forward? And so when I was having the conversation with my cousin, she said, Andy, listen, I just been trying to get this thing perfect. I just been trying to put all the pieces to the puzzle together. And so here's what I want you to understand. And I had to call my cousin out. And the reason why I was able to call her out, because I've been there before myself. You see, sometimes we'll go ahead and have something that we want to do, and we put it on pause. And we start coming up with excuses as to why we don't move forward. And one of the excuses that we use is that I just want it to be perfect. Listen, I just want to make sure that my business plan is perfect before I start the business. I just want to make sure that I got the outline and the concept perfect before I actually write the book. I just want to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row and everything is perfect before I make this career change, before I start the business. But here's what I want you to understand. Number one, there's no such thing as perfection. Understand this, that oftentimes you're going to have to literally make your move before you're ready. I remember my mentor, Les Brown, said that many, many years ago, and it struck me like a chord. He said, make your move before you're ready. And so it sounds a little counterintuitive because we literally like to think that we need to get ready and then we can proceed and then we can move forward. But here's what I want you to understand. Most of the time, when it comes to your goals and your dreams, most of the time, when we're talking about you doing something significant, you're not going to have it all figured out. You're not going to know what all the steps are. You're not going to know exactly what it is that you need to do. And so what you do need to do, though, is you need to start. And something amazing happens when you just start. Somebody do me a favor right now. Do me a favor right now. In the comment section, put hashtag just start. Hashtag just start. And so the reason why I tell you to put that hashtag just start is because I need you to understand this, that sometimes what we have to do is literally cut off the brain, stop trying to talk ourselves out of it, and literally just do something that is going to move us in the direction of our goals and our dreams. Do something that gets the book going. Do something that gets the business going. Do something that allows you to start talking to the lead. You literally need to just start. Somebody do me a favor right now. Put hashtag just start, just start. That's what you've got to learn to do, is to literally just start. Understanding that you're not going to have it all figured out. Understanding that you're not going to know what all the steps are. Listen, here's what Martin Luther King said. He said that faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the entire staircase. And so what I need you to understand is this, that whatever your next level is, you're not going to have it all figured out, but you can't get to your next level. You can't write the book. You can't start the business. You can't do the career shift. You can't do this thing that you've been wanting to do unless you're first willing to just start. And so what I need you to understand is you need to be willing to just simply start the process. Just start the process. And listen, I need you to get this too, because some of us, what we're looking for is we're waiting for perfection and we want to have it all right. You waiting on perfection, you want to have it all right. Do me a favor, because I'm going to share something profound. Hit the share button right now as you're listening to this message, because somebody you're connected to needs to hear this message. Listen, some of us are waiting for perfection in order to get started. But here's what I need you to understand. I need you to get this, because many of us, we have aspirations to become great. I believe that you truly do have a desire to become great. I know you want to make sure it's a great book. I know you want to make sure it's a great business. I know you want to make sure it's a great relationship. But here's what I need you to understand. Zig Ziglar said it best. Zig Ziglar is probably one of the grandfathers of motivational speaking. Unfortunately, Zig Ziglar is no longer alive, but his words, his messages remain with us till today. And one of the most profound things that I believe that Zig Ziglar ever said is this. He says, listen, you don't have to be great in order to get started, but in order to become great, you have to get started. I'm going to repeat that one more time. It's something that Zig Ziglar said, and I think we all need to hear it because we all need to understand this. You see, especially around this time, when we begin to sort of backpedal, we begin to slow down, and there's something that we've been wanting to start and we haven't quite started yet. Here's what I want you to understand. That the only way that you're going to realize greatness, true greatness, the only way that you're going to see the biggest and the best expression of your gift, of your calling, the only way that you're going to be able to see your business go to the next level your desires, your goals, this calling that is placed on your life, the only way that you're going to be able to see it get to the level that it needs to go is that you have to be willing to first get started. Now, here's why I want you to understand. Listen to what Zig Ziglar says. He said, you don't have to be great in order to get started, but in order to become great, you have to get started. And so what I need you to understand is there's a lot of us, what we're hoping, what we're wishing is that we're hoping and wishing that everything's going to be perfect and that we're just going to be great right coming out of the backs. And what I need you to understand, it doesn't work that way. You know, it's almost equivalent to you saying, you know what, I don't feel good. And so before I go see a doctor, I'm going to make sure that I feel better. And then after I feel better, then I'll go see the doctor. You see, that's a little bit reverse. It doesn't make sense, right? Because you go to the doctor so that you can, in fact, get better. Well, see, here's what I want you to understand. When you start saying to yourself, you know what, I'll start this business or I'll write this book or I'll go ahead and move forward once I have it all figured out. Once I have literally every single step made out and I know exactly how it's going to happen. Well, listen, here's what I want you to understand. That's counterintuitive. Because the way that you begin to discover the steps, the way that you begin to learn what you need to do is after the process of actually starting. You see, because once you start, new things begin to reveal themselves. Once you get started, the right people begin to show up. Once you get started, you begin to improve your skill set. You begin to learn things that you didn't know before. You begin to improve. You become a better speaker. You become a better writer. You become more creative. And so what I need you to understand that entire process happens as a result of you first getting started. And so what I need you to understand is that you just need to start. So one more time, somebody do me a favor, because we're going to go ahead and milk this because I need you to get this. Go ahead and, of course, first of all, make sure that you share this message. But then the other thing is, one more time, put hashtag just start, hashtag just start, hashtag just start. I need you to get this because if I could just get you to get this and help you to get unstuck and go past the place of just literally thinking that, wait a second, I got to have it all figured out. I got to have it all figured out. Then what I need you to understand is that is literally when your next breakthrough begins to happen. Listen, I'm telling you, when I say I was literally over the moon a couple of weeks ago. And the reason why I was over the moon is because I had a friend of mine that appeared on Shark Tank. Now, I know just about all of you have seen Shark Tank. I think just about all of you are aware of Shark Tank. For those of you who aren't aware of Shark Tank is a wonderful show where extraordinary businessmen and businesswomen, literally some of the most successful businessmen and businesswomen in the world, literally create a platform where aspiring entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that want to get to the next level come and pitch their ideas so that they can get investments and so that they can also get strategic business partners. And so literally my buddy said, Andy, listen, man, I want you to make sure that you go ahead and you get this and you lock down the date because I am going to be on Shark Tank. And I was literally blown away. And the reason why I was blown away is because I know his story. You see, I want to tell you a little bit about my friend's story. And first of all, I want to tell you how I met him. I met him basically, one of my clients is Broward College. It's a community college. I do a lot of work with the foundation, and I also train some of the people there at Broward College. And Joshua, my friend, was responsible for bringing me in to conduct and facilitate a training for the recruiters at Broward College. And so as a result of him bringing me in as a speaker and him having to show me around and him having to talk to me about what some of the challenges that they're facing with the recruiters, so I know how I could go ahead and prepare my training that I was going to do for the recruiters, he and I cultivated and built a relationship. And so after one day I was done presenting and speaking to the group, him and I just went for a little walk. We were walking around campus and he said, Andy, man, he said, listen, man, I really enjoyed your training, man. I'm telling you, he said, everybody was in there. They enjoyed the training. He said, man, but I'm telling you something, man, as I was seeing you there in the front of the room and I was watching you in your element, man, he said, it's just making me think more and more. There's something that's been sitting on my heart, man. There's something I've been thinking about. I said, well, Josh, what is it? He said, man, listen, I'm an inventor, man. He said, I invented something. I was about 13, 14 years old and I invented something. And I always thought about possibly getting a patent on my invention and actually creating a business as a result of it. I said, man, that sounds awesome, Josh, man, you got to do it. He said, yeah, man, I know I got to do it. And so periodically we'd have conversation. I said, man, how's it coming along? And he said, man, I got to do it. I got to do it. And so the beautiful thing is, finally, here's what I need you to get. Joshua just started. Are you listening to me? He just started. And so here's this thing that he invented for himself. And what he invented, here's what Joshua invented. Here's what I love so much. Joshua was 13, 14 years old. And literally one of the things is his dad used to have to give him haircuts, right? Because his dad is literally from the Caribbean, and his dad's like, no, we're not going to be paying money to give you haircuts, man. So I'm going to give you haircuts. And Joshua had me cracking up. He's like, man, my dad would give me haircuts, and sometimes, Andy, he'll mess up my hairline, and it just wasn't cool. So Josh literally went around the house, would go ahead and find little things around the house, and he'd start cutting it out. And he literally created a template that he could hold against his head and literally start shaping up his hairline. And so this was just something that he invented when he was 13, 14 years old, so that he could give himself a haircut and so that he could be consistent with actually giving himself a haircut. And he had been sitting on this thing that he had been using, but he didn't bring it to market. And so one day he finally just decided, you know what? I'm going to pick this thing up and I'm just going to start. Now, here's what I want you to understand. When Joshua started, he had no idea that he was going to end up on Shark Tank. When Joshua started, he had no idea that he was going to find people on YouTube to collaborate with that were going to help him to take his product and make his product go viral. When Joshua started, he had no idea that by the time that he made it onto Shark Tank, that he was going to have over $700,000 in gross sales. He didn't know how that was going to work. When Joshua started, he didn't know what the entire patent process was like. When Joshua started, he didn't know what it was going to be like to be able to position himself in the marketplace. There's so many things that he did not know. But remember what Zig Ziglar said. He said, you don't have to be great in order to get started, but in order to become great, you have to get started. And so what I was so literally over the moon to see my buddy Joshua on Shark Tank was because of the fact that what I saw on Shark Tank is what I always had seen in Joshua on day one. Very charismatic, very driven, a very intelligent young man. I knew that that was in him, and I was just so over the moon to have been willing to see a part of his story. So what is it that we can learn from Joshua? What we can learn is that a lot of times you're not going to have it all figured out. A lot of times you're going to have to go through the process. A lot of times you're going to encounter some difficulties, but in order for you to make this thing happen that you've been wanting to make happen, you just need to start. And so I can't make this any more simpler for you. You just need to start. Now, here's the other thing that I love, right? Joshua had this thing that he wanted to do, and he had been sitting on it. And there's somebody who could be on the outside and say, man, it's too late, Josh. You were 13, 14 years old, man. You've been sitting on this thing for like 14, 15 years, man. It's too late. What do you mean now you want to bring this thing to market? Now you want to make it a business? But listen, here's what I want you to understand. It's something that George Eliot said. Here's what he said. He said, it's never too late to become the person that you might have been. It's never too late to become the person that you could have been. It is never, ever too late to move forward on your goals and your dreams. It's never too late to write the book. It's never too late to start the business. It's never too late to make the career change. It's never too late to answer the calling that's on your life. It's never too late to tap into your gifting and do the thing that you know that you've been wanting to do and that you've been meaning to do. But in order for you to make it happen, you just need to be willing to start. One more time, I'm gonna beat this thing until we can't beat it up no more. Do me a favor right now in the comment section, put hashtag just start. Hashtag just start. I need you to get this. You just need to start. Listen, there's somebody right now, you've been sitting on something and you have convinced yourself, I'm gonna start it next year. I'm gonna start it next month. I'm gonna start it in 6 months. No, scratch all that. Forget next year, forget next month, forget 6 months from now. You need to start it when? Right now. Listen, here's what Mark Twain said. He said, 20 years from now, you are going to be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do as opposed to the things that you did do. Listen, we all got regrets of some things that we've done, right? We've all done some bonehead things in our day. listen, we've all done some bonehead things in our day. That may perhaps when we look back at it, we regret, you know what? I shouldn't have done that I shouldn't have said that. But listen, if you want to know what'll really weigh you down in life, if you want to know what'll really have you in a place where you are beating yourself up, is when you look back at your life and you say, what if I would have wrote the book? What if I would have started the business? What if I would have made the career change? What if I would have decided to bring my invention to market like Joshua did? What if I would have decided to do the thing that I know that I've been called to do? What if, and what if? Here's what I need you to understand. Here's what Mark Twain said. He said, literally 20 years from now, you are going to be more disappointed by the things that you did not do as opposed to the things that you did do. And so listen, we've all made mistakes. I know I have some things that we regret, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the things that are gonna weigh the most are those things that you didn't act on. Those are the things that when you are old and gray, when you're laying down on your deathbed and you're looking back at your life, or when you are sitting down and you got your grandchildren on your lap and you're reflecting back on your life and you're saying, you know, what have I done with my life? What is the fruit of my life? What is the meaning and the purpose that I got from my life? When you look back and you think about the things that you should have acted on, the dreams, the goals, the hopes, the ideas that you should have acted on, but you just didn't because you talked yourself out of it, because you said you didn't have the resources. You said it wasn't the right timing. You said that, you know, it didn't work out the last time. I don't know if I could do this thing again. And so what I want to remind you over and over and over again is that you just got to be willing to just start. I've got a simple message for you tonight. This message that I have for you is to help you to understand that you need to stop playing this emotional game with yourself. Stop having this verbal gymnastics that you're having. Stop literally selling yourself a false dream. And stop convincing yourself that you don't have the right resources, that it's not the right timing, that you got to make sure somebody else buys into your goals and your dreams before you get started. Stop convincing yourself that, you know, it's too late. And so what I want you to understand that there's just one thing that you got to focus on, and there's one thing that you have to do. And yes, I know it can be very difficult at times, but the one thing that you got to do is you just have to start. You just have to start. And so what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for that person who is saying, Andy, you know what? I've been sitting on this thing for too long. I've been playing with this thing for too long. And you know what? I needed to hear this message tonight. And as a result of me listening to this message, I'm just going to start. I don't know what all the steps are. I don't know how things are going to work out, but I'm just going to start. Now, I could tell you that the reason why I can share this with you with so much conviction is because back in December of 2004, I was working in corporate America. I was working as a CPA. I was with a phenomenal company, but yet and still, every single day when I was showing up to work, I kept saying to myself, Andy, there's got to be more than this. And the reason why I kept saying that is because I knew in my heart that there was a bigger and a higher calling on my life. I knew that there was a purpose. I knew that there was a gift that I needed to tap into, that I needed to work on, that I needed to cultivate. But let me help you to understand something. Every single time I talked myself into taking a chance on myself, I would talk myself right back out. I would say, Andy, do it, man. Go out there and do it, man. Just start. Just start, Andy. Just start. Just tell them that you're gonna leave and just start, man. Just try to figure it out. And then I would say to myself, but wait a second. What are you gonna start? You don't even know what you're gonna start. Wait a second. But what about all this time that you spent getting your undergraduate degree and your master's degree? But wait a second. What about all this time that you spent getting your CPA license? Wait a second. What are people gonna think of you? Wait a second. What if you fail? And I kept saying these things to myself, and I would talk myself into it and talk myself out of it. And every single time I was delaying. But let me help you to understand. When you keep delaying, what you're delaying is not just the thing that you're hoping to make happen, but you're delaying your destiny. And you're delaying the impact that you're going to make as a result of moving forward on your goals and your dreams. And so what I'm saying is no more delaying, no more making excuses, no more sitting on the fence. You know what they say about people who sit on the fence? They get shot on both sides, right? Because there's a part of you that knows that you should be moving forward, and there's another part of you that's trying to convince yourself that you're not worthy of doing it. And so you're sitting there and you're feeling torn because you can't make a commitment. You can't get started. But what I'm saying to you is that it's over. Nah, scratch that. Everything changes at this moment. You're going to figure out that thing that you've been sitting on, that you've been thinking about doing. You're going to stop overthinking it. You're going to stop doing all the research. You're going to stop trying to be perfect. And I need you to understand that perfection is rooted in fear. Oftentimes we want to be perfect because we are concerned about what other people are going to think. We're concerned about failure. We're concerned about criticism. And so I need you to understand and stop trying to say, hey, I'm just a perfectionist, right? It's not what you think it sounds like, right? When I hear perfectionist, right? Because I've tried to be one, is oftentimes a person who has insecurities and is literally trying to, listen carefully, what they're doing is they are delaying getting started. And so as long as they can say, I'm trying to make it perfect, I'm doing the research, I'm trying to make sure everything's right, what they're doing is they're delaying getting it done. And that's why Sheryl Sandberg said that done is better than perfect. Listen, there's no such thing as perfect. It'll never be perfect. But I tell you this, you won't even be able to experience anything remotely close to perfect if you can't even get started. And so I'm asking you to just get started. So listen, here's what I know. Here's what I know. The world and everyone around you is waiting on you to get started. And so you need to stop making the excuses. Stop giving yourself a bailout. Stop giving yourself a cop-out. Stop giving in to your fears and just get started. Zig Ziglar said it. He said that you don't have to be great in order to get started, but in order to become great, and here's what I know, you got some greatness in you, you got to get started. And so one more time, you just need to start. Hey, do me a favor before I wrap up. Two things I want you to do for me real quick. If you haven't shared this message yet, do me a quick favor. Hit the share button and in the comment section, put hashtag shared, hashtag shared. That's just going to be your way of letting me know that you did a brother a favor, and you shared this message. And so hopefully we're going to help some other people to get started. Listen, if you got some value from this message, pay it forward. Help somebody else to just catch a little part of this message so that they can stop sitting on the sidelines and so that they'll get started. Put hashtag shared. After you share, put hashtag shared in the comment section, and I appreciate that. And so here's the other thing is that I want to share with you. Some of you know I've been really excited because I officially have the date for my next Master Storyteller Academy. Hey, listen, if you're an entrepreneur out there, if you are an aspiring speaker, a coach, if you have a service-based business, and you know that in order for you to be able to move more of your products, you need to be able to better communicate with people. You need to be able to better connect with them. You need to be able to touch them on an emotional level so that you can be able to influence them to be able to take action. If you have a service-based, if you're in a direct sales company, then I tell you that one of the best skills that you can work on, that you can develop, is your ability to be able to share stories, but not just share any kind of stories, but share stories strategically that connect with people, that allow you to be able to influence people, and then ultimately be able to get people to take action. And so if you know that you have a story, you've been thinking about writing a book, you are in a direct sales company and you want to become better at connecting with people, or you have a business and you want to elevate your business. You know, part of elevating your business is going to be you getting in front of the room and not having just a one-to-one conversation, but having a one-to-many conversation. Then listen, you want to literally attend my next Master Storyteller Academy. Listen, my Master Storyteller Academy is a 3-day transformational, off-the-charts training, and where I literally just focus on 3 things. Number one, we literally discover what is your story? You know, you probably got a couple stories out there, but what we work on is developing your signature story. That is the story that you'll be able to share over and over again. It's the story that you become known for. It's the story that you use to help people to connect with you before they decide to buy your products and your services. It's the story that you use from the front of the stage to be able to touch your audience, to connect with your audience. It's the story that you use on your video sales letters to connect with people so that you can get them to take action. So first thing we do is we discover what your story is. Then we develop it. And so during the course of those 3 days, I help you to develop your story, help you to figure out how to structure your story, help you to figure out what are the most important parts of your story, what should be included, what should be excluded, help you to literally be able to find out what the universal theme is your story, how to make it applicable to other people. And then the last part is delivery. Listen, all throughout the training, you'll have opportunities to practice sharing and telling your story. And so ultimately, here is my promise to you for every single person who literally attends my Master Storyteller Academy. My promise to them is that however they came in as a speaker and as a storyteller, that by the time they graduate and they earn their Master Storyteller designation, they will in fact be able to deliver their signature story more impactfully. They will improve, guaranteed. It doesn't matter what level they're on. They could be speaking on stages all year long and be considered one of the top speakers in the world, or they can be scared out of their wits and terrified of getting in front of people. I can assure you that your message, your story will get better. And so do me a favor, if you haven't already done so, I want you to do this. Just head on over to masterstorytelleracademy.com, Master Storyteller Academy. And when you get on over to Master Storyteller Academy, fill out the quick application, and someone from my team will connect with you once you schedule your call, and will give you all the details that you need so that you can make a decision as to whether or not you're going to join us for the next training. I can tell you that the next training is going to take place in 2 short months. And so you want to make sure that you head on over there and right away that you fill out the application. Now, I'll tell you this, I told you this before, that I only want you to do one thing as a result of hearing this message. Of course, some of you will be joining me for the Master Storyteller Academy, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you. But the other thing is, I want you to remember, I just want you to start. Whatever that thing is, whether it's writing the book, starting the business, getting that invention out there like my buddy Joshua did, whatever it is that's been sitting on your heart, that you know that you've been wanting to do, you've been meaning to do, starting the podcast, like I was talking to my cousin, the YouTube channel, whatever it might be, you just need to start. Understand this, you're not going to have it all figured out, and that's okay. But listen, once you get started, you'll figure out what the next step is. And once you figure out that step, the next step will reveal itself. And that's how you grow. That's how you get to where you need to be. When I made the decision to leave in 2004, I had no idea what things were going to do or how things were going to work out. But ultimately, each week, each year, something different showed up. New opportunities showed up. My skill improved. And I'm telling you, it was all because I was willing to get started. And I'm hoping that as a result of hearing this message, that you are going to get started. So, of course, I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the share button, because I know that there is literally somebody that needs to hear this message tonight. And I thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, listen, as we sign out, just do me a quick favor. As you tune out tonight, just put hashtag just start, hashtag just start. Because here's the thing, somebody may not hear the whole message, but just seeing that hashtag may prompt them to just get started on something that they've been wanting to do and something that they've been meaning to do. So as you sign out here, just do me a favor, put hashtag just start. That's right, Darren, hashtag just start. That's right, yes indeed, hashtag just start. Yes, Betty, hashtag just start. So as you're signing out, just put hashtag just start as we go ahead and sign out and wrap up this message. But I want to thank all of you. I appreciate you so much for joining me on the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream. As we say, each and every Thursday, this is where you come. That's right, Phyllis. Hashtag just start. Hashtag just start. This is where you come so you can get a message, something that's going to uplift you. That's right, Monica. Hashtag just start. Thank you, Monica. I see you. Monica Jordan, thank you so much. Hashtag just start. Hashtag just start. Hey, Frankie, how you doing? Good to see you, Frankie. Hashtag just start. Yes, indeed. I like it. Frankie said, hashtag just started. That's right. Frankie's like, I'm not about to start. I already started. Cindy, you are more than welcome. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. Want to thank you all for so much for tuning in. As you sign out, put that hashtag just start. And of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in and joining me on the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream. Hopefully you got some value from this message. Pay it forward. Spread the message. Next time you got somebody sitting on the fence, tell them, you know what, just get started. Share something that you heard from tonight's message. So as you sign out, just go ahead and put hashtag just start. That's right. Andrew Simpson, my man, out in California. Good to see you, Andrew. Yes, indeed, man. Just start. Just start. Hashtag just start. And so once again, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. You guys have made me break a sweat here delivering this message, but it is A-okay. I get super excited to be talking to all of you. So thank you so much. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Make sure you share this message. And most importantly, make sure that you just start. Mary Chestnut, I see you. Just start. Yes, yes. Everybody, have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Good night.